So, welcome to CSL Boulder Valley Teaching Chapter. We are in Lafayette, Colorado, and we're in this really sweet, small little town that's got this amazing feel. I sit out on the front porch and meditate and work on talks and stuff. And whenever anybody walks by next to me and they meet my eye, we're always saying hi and chatting. This morning, a lady was walking with her dog, and the dog wanted to stay in the shade, in the grass. And so the lady and I chatted for about 5 minutes. So Lafayette's this amazing, extraordinary little town. And CSL Boulder Valley has been here for over 20 years. And some of the people on this call have been around that long. So I want to honor and acknowledge just the stick-to-itiveness, if you will, of people about honoring and supporting CSL Boulder Valley. Thank you. Barbara, would you pray us in, please?
I don't know.
Oops. Maybe she can't.
There we go. No,
Okay.
I unmuted and turned off my camera. Of course. So as we breathe into this space, this sacred space of CSL Boulder Valley Teaching Chapter, we see and feel these beautiful beings here, knowing that each of us is anchored into our own homes, and yet we connect on this beautiful call to be able to see each other and to know and look into each other's hearts on Sunday mornings, feeling the space, the sacred space that each of us holds and we hold for each other. We know this to be in our hearts, that this community of Boulder Valley has this essence, and each person here contributes to that essence. We are that supreme knowing that the divine is present. I feel this in my heart, see this in each person's eyes, and know this to be true. And I hold this for each person here, that we are filled with love and a knowingness that we are not alone, that we are in this community with each other and for each other always. So grateful for our time together on Sunday mornings and when we get together on Sunday afternoons, knowing this community is such a blessed place to be and growing and expanding into so many new things. And I release this knowing it to be so, and so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That was a magnificent prayer. Thank you, Barbara. I'm going to do some computer magic here and start the slideshow, which is my presentation. Make sure I do share sound so everyone can hear. And I'm going to mute that. Okay.
This is our place, come on in. Our place, so glad you're here. Our place, everybody's welcome. We see God on every face. Love lives here in this place. Welcome to our place, our sweet place.
Loving ourselves, loving others. This culture often teaches us to dislike and even hate ourselves. As we do the work to heal our internal conversations, our patterns and old ways of being, as we heal the external messages that we receive, our quality of life buoys up like a cork being released from the bottom of a lake. how much self-punishment is enough? When will I give up the secret pleasure of the self-punishment? When does a sentence come to an end? When we really examine it, we will always find that we've been punishing ourselves for ignorance, naivete, innocence, and a lack of inner education. That's from Letting Go, David Hawkins' book. The Spirit, out of the prolific possibilities of itself, delivers to each of us individually and to all collectively as much of itself as we are able to accept. That's Holmes. Let today be the day we open our heart and soul and receive more and more of the Spirit of the divine. Abby Wambach and Glennon Doyle do a podcast called We Can Do Hard Things. And Abby talked about getting sober. And she talked about the night that it happened, the night she got sober. And she drank a bunch of wine. And as she was getting into her car, she thought to herself, oh, I'm not drunk, I'm fine. I'm fine to drive. Well, she got stopped by the police and they had her do a breathalyzer test. And the test came back, and obviously she was very drunk. And she shares about how she had this mental thought in her head. She was thinking to herself, it's like, oh, go get another machine. The machine's broken. I'm not drunk. Well, this shadow that she was living her life inside of is not uncommon for many people. And it's not just about alcoholism. Quite often, we as human beings live inside of many challenge areas. One of the things that Abby talked about was that she had this thread of sorrow. And that thread of sorrow was foundational for the advent of her self-love cracking open after she got sober. See that thread of sorrow, or that make wrong, or that self-punishment that she was doing is really an open door after we realize what we're doing, after we have the aha moment or moments that we're punishing ourselves. And as that work she did, as she got sober, by the way, she did not have any more alcohol after that night. That was her hitting bottom. And she has not drank since. She's been sober. She's been in recovery ever since. After that night, as Abby did that work, she was able to share this, and she was able to teach others about healing their shadow. Michael Gott says it this way: there is no conflict between creating the life of your dreams and contributing to the healing of the world. The seed of your personal vision is a necessary piece of humanity's wholeness. So there was a famous teacher called Papaji. I actually studied with one of Papaji's students named Gangaji for many years. Both of these teachers are extraordinarily powerful, just amazing beams of light on the planet. Don't be afraid of this fire. It is love itself. Many people are afraid of this fire, but those who manage to destroy themselves in this fire don't die. They carry on living, but they are rare beings. Very few people have shown this love for freedom. Very few people have thrown themselves wholeheartedly into this fire of love. When I read this, I thought to myself, this is an invitation. When I read this part about very few people have shown this love for freedom, I flashed on the hundreds of people that I've hung out with inside of many different centers for spiritual living through the years. I attended Mile High Church for 15 or 20 years, and constantly people were talking about how the first time they came to Mile High or any other CSL. I've heard it from many, many other centers for spiritual living. People visit for the first time and they sit in the back row and they've got one foot in the aisle ready to escape. And as they start listening, as they start hearing the messages, as they start feeling the energy of the people around them, they realize that they're home. I've heard this story time and time again. After the first service, I went to Mile High or another CSL. I realized I was home. And when people tell this story, they often get tears in their eyes. So I hear you, Papa G, about how very few people have shown this love for freedom. And I say, and I hold the space, I'm the stand for, that Centers for Spiritual Living is this powerful venue, this amazing structure that we have, wherein we can surrender to the fire of love. You can be spiritual and heartbroken. You can be spiritual and depressed. You can be spiritual and angry. Spirituality helps you to face the human experience, not suppress it with alcohol or screen time, not suppress it with the internal patterns from the past. The person who calls me dad, Adrian, holds balanced female and male energy. Adrian uses all three pronouns, she, they, and he. When Adrian was about 2 or 2.5 years old, my partner and I realized that Adrian held this balance. Like, Adrian wasn't like all male or all female. Adrian held this beautiful balance of feminine and masculine both. And we worked hard for years and years to provide an environment for him where both of those things, both the feminine and the masculine, could come to the forefront. See, because we knew in our heart that it was vital for him to have everything. It was vital for him to have all of his self-expression. And I'm using his here, but yeah, both Allison, my partner at the time, and I, we knew in our heart of hearts that providing venues and environments for him to have all of who he was flow was just super vital. We found a UU church, a Unitarian Universalist church in Denver, and all three of us attended for 12 years. Part of that New Thought church, that UU church, was they honored all people. All people were welcome there. And he was raised in that environment inside the religion and our family. So Adrian models using all three pronouns, she, they, and he, to model for others that having angst or onus about a particular pronoun doesn't forward anything. This is self-love, being confident with themselves, and this invites others to be comfortable with who they are. And this is a quote from Adrian. I honestly don't really feel like one label is enough to encapsulate my experience with gender. Sometimes I don't feel like a man or a woman, and sometimes I feel like one or the other, and sometimes I feel like both. Adrian's 22 now, and he's done the work. You know, he gets support, and he has venues that allow him to dive deep inside of who he is and heal his challenge areas. The longer I live, the more deeply I learn that love, whether we call it friendship or family or romance, is the work of mirroring and magnifying each other's light. This is gentle work, steadfast work, life-saving work in those moments when life and shame and sorrow occlude our own light from our view. But there is still a clear-eyed, loving person to beam it back at us. In our best moments, we are that person for another. The group mind or the race consciousness that we surround ourselves with, whether that be screen time on the phone or computer or TV, or the food and drink that we consume, or the way we take care of our physical, mental, and spiritual bodies. All of these things can support us or bring us down. I've recently become almost totally gluten-free. For years, I thought that gluten didn't bother me, but I would get these consistent nosebleeds and I had skin challenges. And when I cut out the gluten, the nosebleeds stopped and my skin got healthier. This choice in my willingness to shift my behavior was love for myself. It's important to surround yourself with people who have loving kindness, understanding, and compassion, because day and night we are influenced by that collective consciousness. It's Thich Nhat Hanh. This journey of choosing to love ourselves and others is a lifelong endeavor. As we practice this, the possibilities for a higher quality of life beckon. Come play, come dance, come have more presence, oneness, and laughter in your life. Please join me in prayer. Whew. This exquisite energy of oneness and presence and play moves through me when I stop and take a breath. This access to the infinite possibilities that are at the core of who I am come out to play when I stop and take a breath, when I invite the circumstances off to the side. And I behold this for each person on this call. I behold this for each person watching this recording. You too have that infinite possibility inside of you. You too have that divine essence, whether that essence is called goddess or oneness or spirit. This coming togetherness of CSL Boulder Valley Teaching Chapter on these Zoom church meetings and on our get-togethers when we meet in presence, in person. These are venues to practice. These are venues to open to that exquisite oneness inside of us. This teaching reminds us to do the work. This teaching reminds us to love ourselves and to love others. This teaching reminds us to be conscious about what we surround ourselves with, what we put inside of our bodies, the people we hang out with. This teaching invites us to bring high consciousness and presence to our day-to-day life. Ernest Holmes talks about time and time again about how going to church is a great thing, taking classes is a great thing, and the rubber meets the road, my words, not Ernest's, the rubber meets the road when we practice it in our day-to-day life. When we're driving down the road and someone cuts us off and we slowly put the finger down and we bring the smile forward and we back off and we let that person slide in front of us. As we practice these teachings in our day-to-day life, our quality of life skyrockets. I invite each one of us moving forward this week, this month, this year, to have our awareness on witnessing and observing ourselves, noticing if it's time to let go of a habit or a pattern, if it's time to move forward in the next evolution of our self-growth. That's what CSL Boulder Valley is about teaching and growing and saying yes to our exquisite light. Behind all this prayer is love and law. And love moves through the law and empowers it. The love actuates the law. And I release this prayer into that actuated law, that love, that exquisite infinite love that is inside of us and all around us. I release this prayer into that. And I invite us to say together, and so it is. Go ahead and take a breath, if you would. Bring yourself back to the room where you're sitting. Let's move into the time of contribution and offering. Let's move into that time of honoring the law of circulation. See, when we give abundance back to the universe, when we give abundance back to our neighbors or CSL Boulder Valley, when we give abundance in our workplace, the abundance comes back to us. That's the way the universe works. Thank you for honoring this internal abundance inside of you. And thank you for gifting this abundance all around you. Let's say our offering affirmation together. This perfect gift is spirit in form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive. And so it is. There are many ways to contribute to CSL Boulder Valley. You can go online to our website or our newsletter. You can text to give. You can snail mail it. And there's something on the bottom of the newsletter and the website called Tithely. You can give that way as well. So there are a couple announcements I want to share with you. On Saturday, July 22nd at 6, Jim and Barbara Babcock will be honoring you and honoring CSL Boulder Valley with an amazing party. It's a fundraiser, and it's an opportunity to come play inside the community and to come experience exquisite food. See, Barbara's a consummate chef, and she's a consummate party planner and a consummate party giver. When she gives a shindig, it's amazing. I invite you to come play with us. Please go ahead and do your divine energy exchange with Barbara herself. You can do that with Venmo or a check, or you can bring money of the night of the event. And you can find those ways to give on our newsletter. So I'm excited. We're shifting things up here at CSL Boulder Valley, and we're starting a 4th Sunday of the month in-person service. And we're calling it Out of the Box Community Connection. Barbara Babcock and Debbie Braun and myself had a creation conversation this last week, and it's going to be a fun in-person service. It'll be at the Methodist Church where we usually meet, and it'll be at 4 o'clock. Part of it is we're going to do a altar service wherein we put a table in the middle, and the pews at the Methodist Church where we meet are movable, and we're going to put the pews in a circle around that table, and we invite people to bring things from your house. If you want something blessed, or you have something that you want to contribute, the energy contribute to the to the service, bring that and we'll put it on the altar in the middle, and we're going to juice it up with prayer and presence and laughter and love. So that's one piece of this new in-person service. I invite you to come play with us on the fourth Sunday at the Methodist Church. So myself and Pastor Emily, the pastor at the Methodist Church where we meet, and Melissa Jacobs, who's in ministerial school through CSL, and a person named Toby, who's an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community. The four of us are putting on a seminar, and it's called Bridging the Divide, Embracing Our Divine Wholeness. This seminar is on Zoom, and it's in September. And we're asking people not to pay for this seminar. We're asking people to contribute to the charity of your choice, to contribute to the organization that feeds you. In the planning phases, we've had probably 8 or 10 meetings so far. And in the planning phases, we were talking about just how are we going to charge for this? And Pastor Emily at the Methodist Church, I'm getting goosebumps all over my body. The truth is present. Pastor Emily said, well, it seems to me like the whole money system is pretty much based in toxic patriarchy. Not all of it, but a big piece of it is based in colonialism and patriarchy. Let's not charge for this thing. Let's have people contribute to their favorite getting moved here. Contribute to their favorite charity. And when she said that, my head kind of exploded. And part of that patriarchy that is at the part of who I am crumbled. And I said, yes. Yes. So I invite you to participate in this seminar in September.
May I ask you what day of the week that is?
September 5th, 12th, 19th. I don't know what day of the week it is. If you can look in your schedule, that would be my request. So this is the time in our service where we get together and we just chat, where we get together and have this amazing conversation. It's an open venue where you can share about anything you want to talk about, anything you want to point to, anything that's on your heart. So I invite you to go ahead and unmute. When we're all unmuted, it creates more of a community feel. We hear what's going on. And you don't have to unmute if you don't want, but it makes it more fun when we're all unmuted. So Val, did you find out what day of the week it was?
No, I'm not.